Hi everyone, it's Jamie again. I haven't done a video in a short little while, so I wanted to go ahead and do one, update everybody on everything going on. Here in Princeton, it's 27 degrees right now, so I don't really feel like getting out of the car. But I was liking to do that so that I could verify that I'm actually where I say I am. If we look out here, we can see the Princeton battlefield, and the same if we look out that way. Because I know from all the false accusations that I've been getting that somebody's going to try saying, oh, he's not where he says he is, etc. So, anyway, wanted to discuss this trauma triangle. Uh, Social worker that I talked to said, I think that this will help you to understand the dynamic of the relationship that you were in. Um, it's a game that most people play, or many people play in relationships, and it ends up with three different positions. It doesn't matter what your initial position is, um, but everybody ends up becoming the victim, and everybody ends up walking away from the game hurt and angry. Um, in this position, one person would be the rescuer, second person would be the victim, or second position would be the victim, and the third position would be, um, in this triangle, not in any certain order, would be the persecutor. This had so much to do with my own relationship because I've always been the kind of person that's trying to go save the day. Guess I'm. Most people would call me a white knight. I see a problem, try to come up with a good solution, try to better people's lives around me. Um, so I'm naturally drawn towards the victim type of, I would guess, persona. And so that was a lot probably to do with my uh, initial connections with my ex, and she was claiming to be the victim, not saying that she's not the victim of government targeting, and I do believe it's at. I've written very extensively that I believe she is a target, or she has been a target, definitely in the past. I'm not disputing the fact that she is a target right now. Possibility is that she is, just like I believe that I am. So anyway, um, in this game of the trauma triangle, um, one person will end up moving over to the next position, which is normally like the victim will move over into the persecutor position. Um, a lot of this is like, I think a good example of this would be a time when I was super exhausted when I was working in California, and um, I came home after working for many hours to the point of complete exhaustion. I was about to pass out, began talking with my partner and my ex, and I ended up falling asleep. When she finally woke me up, because we were talking online, and she's yelling my name in my ear because I had a Bluetooth headset on, she told me how rude I was, told me how horrible of a person I was. She essentially, I call it attacking, she calls it criticism. She criticized or attacked me, in my feeling, attacking, for several more, I believe it was like an hour and a half longer, that I had to listen to how horrible and how rude of a person I was because of the fact that I was so physically exhausted that I passed out in the middle of a conversation. Um, this should have been done at that point in time, but it was continually brought up. This is one of the things she says, is a little tiny cut. All these little tiny cuts end up becoming or becoming so devastating. All these little cuts. I how long must you continue to apologize for passing out and saying, I was exhausted, I did not mean to pass out? How many days are you supposed to deal with something like this? This did end up going on for many days, where I'm getting to the point where I'm saying, my gosh, you are attacking me on this, you are attacking me on this, you are attacking me on this. And I would end up having to yell at her very loudly. Biological necessity overcomes your emotional desire. Um, how long are you going to continue to throw in somebody's face for hours and hours and hours, and then becoming days, before you understand you lack empathy, that this person is so exhausted they passed out? I mean, that should be a one of those things where you're saying, my gosh, this person held on to their urine for so long, they wet their pants. Let's attack them over that for days and days and days. Um, so, in this position where they become the persecutor, the rescuer ends up becoming the victim. And the rescuer that has become the victim is now beginning to become the persecutor of the person who was persecuting them, and saying, how can you be so insensitive to the fact that I did not purposely pass out on you? I passed out because of the fact my body couldn't continue on any longer. For her, this was more of a thing where I was just ignoring her and not her uh, acknowledging her emotional needs. Again, not wanting to get into that, but it's just a small glimmer of what it is that I went through with my ex. Um, it was a red flag to me at the time. I kept noticing these red flags before I even came here, but I thought things might get better. We might be able to work through these things. Um, I didn't realize from the trauma triangle that I was inherently doing things that should have stopped the cycle of this trauma triangle. When you're the rescuer and somebody is persecuting you, you are normally the person that is saying, being completely honest with yourself and making it under no certain terms perfectly clear what your necessity is. In this case, where I was attacked for being passing out, I was perfectly clear saying, I need sleep. I need my body to rest. My body cannot continue any longer. It's gone to a point where I am not purposely going to sleep, but I'm finding myself asleep because of the fact my body is so exhausted. So I was perfectly clear in that. But in this position of me having to explain, I understand your emotional need. I understand that. And if I had a choice, I would not have fallen asleep. I would not have gotten into an argument with you over such a thing as me falling asleep. I would have stayed awake, and I would have continued to let you continue telling me your stories. Instead, it ended up becoming such a huge thing that it lasted, I believe this particular instance lasted at least 4 days before I could finally get through in our arguments by yelling at her. Biological necessity versus an emotional need. So anyway, I'm hoping that I'm going in the future going to have somebody coming on to stream with me. I'm in preparation and works for that with people in the psychological in the psychiatric community. That way they can. I'm purposely trying to find help for myself in understanding this, understanding myself, and trying to be a better person. Um, whether or not my ex is doing that, that's all on her. That's her responsibility. But me, in being able to stop and take an honest look at myself and my shortcomings. I am I accept the responsibility of all of my actions, and I'm continually on a daily basis trying to be a better person. But anyway, I'm going to cut this short, losing my track of thought where I was going to go with this. Um, I hope that everybody has a wonderful day and keep fighting the good fight. Free Julian Assange.